Hey there, and welcome back. I'm Fox with RealMarcFoxx, and this is the March 10th, 2026 edition of Straight Gamer Zone. Let's get into the news and nonsense right after this.
You're watching Straight Gamer Zone.
All right, our first article of the day is another stupid one. I like pointing out stupid articles. This one is from Insider Gaming. Marathon, quote, player count watching is, quote, unemployed behavior, says Overwatch Dev. Well, I can tell you it doesn't take a lot of effort to bring up some SteamDB charts and look at them. You really don't need that much time to do it, and you can be fully employed. In fact, I work full-time, and I often check SteamDB charts for various different things. Not just for videos, often for videos, but not just for videos. In this case, I have to say to this Overwatch Dev, you know who I think needs to be concerned about their unemployed behavior? Some Marathon devs in the very near future. Because Bungie is a bloated studio with allegedly over 800 employees. And I'm sorry, but Marathon isn't doing that great, given how much money was spent on this game, allegedly around $250 million, which probably doesn't include marketing. We're looking at hundreds of millions, potentially, allegedly, spent on this game, and they're just not going to recuperate those costs with the numbers they're looking at. So you can say our behavior is unemployed behavior all day long, but the reality is the unemployment is going to be on Bungie's end pretty soon. Here's some potentially good news. The founder and head of Haven Studios has left the company. That's right. Jade Raymond leaves Fairgame's studio, and the game has reportedly been delayed to spring of 2026. Well, what is Fairgames? I'll show you a little of the trailer and you'll get a pretty good idea of what this game is all about. That's right, this is Woke, the video game. It's the next in a series of online games that's obviously going to fail. This game has about a 0% chance of succeeding, and I think that Jade Raymond made an intelligent decision deciding to leave the company, because obviously this boat is taking on water and it's gonna sink. But what about you? Are you planning to give Fairgames a shot? I know one thing for sure. When not enough people play Fairgames, the developer's going to claim that people didn't give it a fair shot. And from videocards.com, with a Z, we have a PS5 turned into a Linux Steam machine by well-known modder Andy Wynn. Known online as the Flow Zero, he shows Linux running on a PlayStation 5, even playing GTA 5. Wow. PlayStation 5, GTA 5, and Linux all together at the same time? Now, I'm not a fan of GTA, but I can tell you right now, getting GTA 5 running on Linux on a PlayStation 5, that's pretty impressive. That's some real modding skill. Not sure how useful this will be in the grand scheme of things. It will probably end up being the foundation of people trying to use their PlayStation 5s as general use computers. In an interesting tidbit of news, and there's a development on this one, Olivier Gay says, I don't know why you put gay in all caps, I have a theory. He says he received a lawyer's letter from the game Clair Obscur. Now, I will tell you, I know what he means by that, but you can't receive a letter from a game. He means from the lawyers at Sandfall Interactive, ordering him to stop selling his comic book, which is titled Academia Clair Obscur. Now, I'm sure I mispronounced that. It is French. However, he says he came up with this name before Clair Obscur Expedition 33 was released. However, I don't think he actually released the comic before the game released. There has been an update though, let's check that out now. Sandfall Interactive came out on X to say that they have retracted this whole situation. They were actually unaware of what their legal team was doing. They didn't agree with it. They asked their legal team to retract the request, and they have done so. So now apparently the whole issue has been put to rest, and Sandfall Interactive is no longer going after this guy in this comic. Good for him. In some older news, Microsoft promised it will upgrade Windows 11 with better performance for gamers in 2026, saying, quote, we're committed to making Windows the best place to play, unquote. I have to wonder if they knew about the whole situation with Project Helix, the next Xbox console, which is looking like it's just going to be a PC with backwards compatibility for Xbox games. Did they know about that when they said this? And is the fact that they're basically going to make a PC branded as a console for the Xbox lineup, is that technology, are those changes that they put into the Xbox framework going to make their way into Windows 11 and or Windows 12 when it comes out? I would hope so. I will have to tell you this. Windows 11 has had a rocky history with gamers, many of which have chosen not to upgrade or to downgrade back to Windows 10. I prefer to be on the latest operating system whenever possible just because, well, that's just the way things go. I mean, older operating systems don't get supported forever. Windows 11 is going to have the best compatibility with new stuff moving forward, at least it should, and it doesn't always end up being the case. But hopefully Microsoft will put some real effort into improving Windows so us PC gamers don't have to deal with Windows bull anymore. Oh, and by the way, guys, please don't call them microslop. They really hate that. And another oldie but a goodie. This one from IGN.com, posted by Rebecca Valentine. Yes, that Rebecca Valentine. The one who had to hide in shame after posting a bunch of nonsense about the studio behind Black Myth Wukong and some horrible mistranslated statements some of the developers made, in which she accused them of being sexist and all sorts of other things. She posted this February 3rd, 2025, and this highly intelligent article headline reads, "I could make fart fart booby fart the game, and maybe it would eventually get taken down. Devs reveal why the consoles are drowning in eSlop." I really don't know what this is all about. I'm not going to read the article because Rebecca Valentine is a terrible individual. She's a horrible journalist. She doesn't do her job. Arguably, she's not even a journalist. She's just a blogger, basically. But essentially, she's talking about the eSlop on consoles, and I'm not much of a console gamer. I have a PlayStation 5, I have a Switch, I don't use the Switch. I do sometimes use the PlayStation 5, but I don't go looking for games very often. I rarely get anything on there. So is there really a bunch of slop on the current gen consoles? I mean, I know there was on the Wii and the Wii U because there were all sorts of just shovelware games for the motion controls of that system, but I thought a lot of that shovelware stuff kind of had fallen off. There's a lot of shovelware on Steam, but then again, anybody can get a game on Steam for just about, I think, $100. You would expect it on Steam where there's little barrier to entry, but on the consoles, I would think they wouldn't allow pure garbage, but I'll let you guys correct me in the comment section below. And in some news, I'm sure many people are just thrilled, absolutely thrilled to find out about South of Midnight launches for Switch 2 and PS5 this month. That's right. The game that flopped hard, that virtually nobody played and nobody wanted to play and people said was thoroughly mediocre, well, it's coming to the Switch 2 and PlayStation 5 in case you felt left out and didn't have a chance to play South of Mediocre. I've considered actually giving this game a play and doing a sort of mini impressions on it, but honestly, I'm not sure I want to slog through this nonsense. Maybe it's better than I'm giving it credit for, but it certainly doesn't look that great. And from what I've heard, it's just mediocre at best. But in some good news, Homura Hime is coming to Switch 2, and if you haven't heard about this game, well, maybe you should have. It's available on Steam, and it's actually a pretty good game. If you like the whole bullet hell, third-person action RPG, parry-dodge mechanic thing, this game might be right up your alley, as long as you don't mind the anime aesthetic. It's got a feel to it, it's got a unique look to it. Some of the graphics are a bit simplistic, but the characters look really good. It's got that cel shading that I love. I really enjoy my time with it. I might actually pick up a full copy, but I've got a lot on my plate right now, so that is going to go on the back burner. Hopefully, not forever. Oh, and what do we have here, gentlemen? Kaho Shibuya becomes official Twitch ambassador. Who is Kaho Shibuya? Maybe a famous video game individual? Maybe she's a video game developer? Maybe she's well known for playing video games? Oh no, she's a Japanese AV actress. By the way, that's basically saying she was a porn actress. And now she's an official Twitch ambassador. You know, this really is emphasizing the direction that Twitch has been moving lately, isn't it? I mean, we've got girls in bathtubs, we've got girls in bikinis, we've got girls in the skimpiest outfits you can imagine on Twitch. Some of them not even playing any video games. They're just in a bathtub, in a bikini, and you just watch them in a bathtub in a bikini? I don't get it, guys. There are obviously websites you can go to that will show more than Twitch does, so why would you go and watch a bikini bathtub girl on Twitch when there's other stuff out there that goes much farther than that? I don't get it at all. I don't do that. I would rather Twitch stick quite simply to video games. Enough of the politics, enough of the girls in bikinis. Let's focus on the games. Who's with me? And for those old school 2D Castlevania fans out there, well, here's a game to keep an eye on. Silent Planet, Elegy of a Dying World. actually looks pretty good. It advertises itself as a gothic sci-fi Metroidvania rooted in cosmic horror. So it kind of gets that feel of Castlevania, but goes in the direction of cosmic horror. Who knows? Maybe a little bit of the Lovecraftian horror in there. Maybe. This is one to keep an eye on. You can add this to your wishlist if you want. I'm not logged in currently on this browser, so it's not on my wishlist here, but it is on my wishlist on Steam. Give it a look. And now to everyone's most anticipated part of the video, it's the cosplay of the day. This one is from Haruka C107. She's at Haruka_MYX. This right here is Honkai Star Rail. Looking pretty good, obviously. You know, they do modify these photos. Maybe they even use AI or other tricks and whatnot. These obviously aren't entirely natural photos when they look like that. But hey, if it still looks good, it looks good. We have another one. She said it's Honkai Star Rail, but she obviously made a mistake there. That is also Honkai Star Rail. And I decided to use Grok to make my own anime version of it, which actually came out pretty nice. AI haters out there, sorry. Yes, sometimes I use Grok to generate imagery. And then we've got at HNHN222R. Hey, you know, I don't know. Why do you come up with a username like that? I don't know what this is exactly cosplay of. It probably isn't cosplay of anything. It's probably just a nice looking outfit on a, I guess, nice looking woman, you know? I mean, why not appreciate the effort being put in here? And then Goddess of Victory Nikke cosplay. This is Mihara, the character Mihara. This is from Kaoru244_G. Take a look at this excellent cosplay. You can see that this looks like a far more natural photo, probably not a lot of editing done to it, and it looks like it might have been at an actual cosplay conference or some sort of event, but definitely looks amazing. We'll jump on one more of these before moving on, and this one is Genshin Impact by Neko_CYAMA. All right, which character is that? I guess it's Veressa. I think that's how it's pronounced. I haven't played Genshin Impact in forever. I've only played a little bit of it. Don't recognize the character off the top of my head, but if you play Genshin Impact a lot, I'm sure you would recognize this character. What do you guys think? You enjoy this cosplay? I think it's good. It's solid. And in some gaming news that also borders on political, the Trump administration debates forcing Tencent to abandon Western game investments. I didn't see this one coming. I don't think they're actually going to do it. It's kind of like when Trump said that he was going to ban TikTok, which, although from a freedom of speech and freedom point of view, I don't like the idea of banning TikTok, but just the idea of banning TikTok got me excited, and I wouldn't have felt bad at all. Please, guys, don't use TikTok. TikTok is absolute garbage. It's Chinese spyware. It's a Chinese social weapon. Uninstall that trash. Stop using it. Now, do I agree with him potentially preventing Tencent from being able to invest in Western game studios? I'm kind of torn on this one. At one point, you know, I'm thinking, you know, economic freedom, laissez-faire, you know, market capitalism, all that stuff, that's great. But on the other hand, Tencent will become a majority stockholder and be able to kind of have a say as to what these studios do, or they'll just straight up buy the studios outright and then force them to make some crappy game that doesn't do well. And then when it doesn't do well, they can pull the funding and shut the studio down, leaving a big, wide open space, a wide open portion of the market for Chinese companies to come in and fill the void. I sometimes wonder if Tencent is buying out a lot of these companies just to shut them down so that they can move in with the Chinese game development market. That's one of my conspiracy theories. So what do you guys think? Should the Trump administration seriously debate shutting down Tencent's ability to invest in Western game companies? And if you're like me, you've had the Deus Ex remaster on your wishlist on Steam for a long time now, but it looks like it's gonna remain there because it appears to have been delayed indefinitely and pre-orders have been canceled. So more than likely, this will probably not come out, at least not this version. If it ever does, it may be a new company that comes in and decides to actually do the remaster. Because at this point, whenever they say something's been delayed indefinitely, that means they're basically canceling it without saying they're canceling it. Bummer. And in some actual good news, Valve gives an update on their Steam Machine hardware release plan, saying that they are on track to launch in 2026. They're not launching when they originally planned to, which was early 2026, but hopefully we'll be able to get our hands on this hardware sometime this year in 2026. I have no plans to buy a Steam machine at this time. I don't need one. I have a better PC, so Really no reason for me to buy it, but it's a great option for those who want to get into PC gaming and don't want to build their own machine, and hopefully it'll be set at a good price. I have no interest in the Steam frame. I think VR is mainly a gimmick. It's really not going to take off, so I don't want to invest money in VR. If someone gave it to me for free, I'd play around with it, experience it and whatnot, but definitely not going to buy it. However, I definitely want to get my hands on one of those new Steam controllers, give it a review, start playing games with it, and see if it becomes my new controller of choice. That remains to be seen. I'm skeptical. The old Steam controller wasn't great. It lacked a second analog stick, but this new one might just be the king of PC controllers for me. We'll see. And in some interesting news, Epic Games is suing a leaker who formerly worked for the company. It says here in this article by Game Rant, written by Dominic Bosniak, hope I pronounced that correctly, Epic Games is suing a former contractor who allegedly leaked a variety of company secrets, namely information on various Fortnite collaborations. Epic's newly publicized complaint thus seemingly confirms the authenticity of multiple recent Fortnite leaks. Oh, well, I have to say that if you are working for somebody, contracting for somebody, you're probably signing some sort of non-disclosure or some sort of agreement not to release this information. So if he did, then he's clearly in violation of that contract, and this lawsuit may actually move forward depending on if they have the evidence to prove it. And from Brutal Gamer, they say the rumors are true. Cyberpunk 2077 is coming to Xbox Game Pass. So if by chance you have not actually picked this game up yet and want to give it a try, if you have a subscription to Xbox Game Pass, either on the Xbox console or PC Game Pass, then this is your chance to play it for free, provided, of course, you're a member and you're paying membership dues. So this is your chance to try Cyberpunk 2077. I gave this game a shot 3 different times. I don't think it's bad or terrible. It didn't hook me. I just didn't keep going. I got bored of it. But what do you guys think of Cyberpunk 2077? Did you love it, hate it, or something in between, like me? Coming at us from Games Radar, Final Fantasy VII Remake director reveals new Part 3 details. Rocket Town is back, and Wutai is one of the main locations, and the Highwind airship is a very large part of this JRPG finale. I actually finished the first part of this trilogy. I wasn't super impressed by it. I wasn't super impressed by the original Final Fantasy VII either. Never finished that game. But I did play Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate on the PC. I am currently working my way through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I believe it's called. I don't know what this third one's going to be called. Re-something, I guess. I'll probably pick up the third one when it goes on sale and then play that one through and just kind of get an idea how I feel about all this. I gotta say, I hate that they turned it into 3 different games. I think they're really milking this franchise. It did ultimately feel like the first one was just padded out with a bunch of pointless nonsense, a lot of squeezing in tight spaces, bend over and climb under something, pointless little silly mini games, pointless stupid side quests and all sorts of things. This just would have been better as a single game remake. That's my opinion. It's opinion of a lot of other people, but what do you guys think? You excited for Final Fantasy VII Remake, the 3rd edition, or the sequel? I don't know what you call it at this point. The end of the trilogy of remakes. In some very PC-specific news, there's a new utility that you can pick up called NV-UV. It brings one-click undervolting to GeForce RTX 50 GPUs. It apparently only works with the 50 series at the moment, so that's going to leave a lot of people out in the cold because not everyone has a 50 series. I just picked up a 5080 myself, paid way too much for it, $1,300, but they're only going up in price and going to get harder to find. But basically, this is a little utility that with a single click, you can apparently undervolt your GPU. And if you don't know what that is, you basically run the GPU at a lower voltage while maintaining essentially pretty much the same performance. Undervolting, I think, is superior to overclocking in most cases because you're not going to degrade the GPU faster. In fact, you should degrade it at a slower pace, running less electricity through it. You save a little bit on electricity. That's not a big deal. For me, the bigger deal is that my PC doesn't get as hot, doesn't generate as much heat in the room. Yeah, I use less electricity, that's great, but I'm getting essentially the same performance, just using less electricity, generating less heat. And another one from videocards.com, the original Xbox emulation reaches Android. That's right, Android's getting an Xbox emulator through X1 Box Fork of Zemu. That's right, you can play Xbox games on your cell phone I guess, or other Android-type device. However, be aware that it's a bit spotty. You can't play just any and all Xbox games. It depends on the game, and it also depends on the power of your Android device. You can't just throw this on any cheap old cell phone and expect to play at full quality 60 FPS or whatnot. I love the fact that we're getting lots more emulation on lots more devices. Emulation is great. It's one of the best ways for game preservation. I know everyone talks about emulation as piracy. No, pirating games is piracy. Emulating legally owned games is not piracy. And yes, in the United States, you are legally allowed to make a digital backup copy of your media. That is lawful, at least last I checked. If there's been some new ruling on that, let me know. You can make a backup, and you can use the backup as long as you're not having someone else use the original copy, because that would be two separate copies if two people are using them. But yeah, awesome. Android, Xbox emulation. I can't think of any use I have for it, but then again, if you have a powerful little Android gaming handheld, that's good news. And then we have Notorious PC Gamer posting another stupid article in which they go after the indie developer of Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon. Let me read it for you. Elder Scrolls wannabe Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon, gets a huge update overhauling its weaker third act with new locations, quests, enemies, and more. Obviously, this doesn't sound good saying it's an Elder Scrolls wannabe. You know, it would sound more positive to say Elder Scrolls inspired or something of that sort. This makes it seem like they're almost attacking the game and the developers for making a first-person RPG. The Elder Scrolls weren't necessarily the first-person RPG, but they did kind of set up a formula. Yes, Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon does remind you of the Elder Scrolls, but there are lots of games similar to this, and they don't always get compared to the Elder Scrolls, so calling it an Elder Scrolls wannabe, I think, was a cheap low blow. Well done, PC Gamer. And in some news from VG Charts with a Z, I don't know what it is about putting Z at the end of your website, EA lays off staff at Battlefield Studios. That's right, more layoffs. Are you shocked? I'm shocked. I'm not. Electronic Arts has laid off employees across its Battlefield teams, which includes Criterion, DICE, Ripple Effect, and Motive Studios. A lot of these big-name games aren't doing as well as they used to. The studios are bloated. They've got multiple bloated studios working on multiple different versions of these games, and they can't all be super successful to sustain all this. So I think AAA is ultimately unsustainable. I think most AAA studios are going to have to pare down. Not only pare down their studio in terms of how much they're spending and how many people they employ, but also pare down in how much they put into these games in terms of cutscenes and special effects and motion capture and all this other stuff. You just can't spend hundreds of millions of dollars on all of these different games and expect to make a profit. In many cases, these studios aren't even making the money back that they spent on it. So how often can you take a loss before eventually the losses catch up with you? This is just the gaming landscape naturally healing itself. It's too bloated, and eventually people have to go. It's unfortunate for those individuals. I hope the good ones land on their feet, and if there were any woke developers in there, I hope they leave the industry and never come back. All right, thank you guys so much for joining me. That's going to be it for today's episode. If you like this kind of content, subscribe, notification bell icon, like the video, and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of these topics and more. I'm Fox with RealMarcFoxx. I will see you all next time. Later, everybody.